Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way YouTube channel, Facebook page, and X page as well. My name is Ryan McGinley. Tonight, I'm delighted to be joined, as always, by Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the X handle. Tony, how are you doing today? Or
I'm
tonight,
very
rather?
well. Yourself? I'm very good. Yeah, nice one. A bit earlier that we're on
Yeah,
today.
all good.
Nice to crack through the work,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
chuffed about that.
In earlier shows, we've been grafting this afternoon and this evening to get these up as quick as possible. We've got plenty of content coming for you in the next sort of 24 hours or so as well. So please stay tuned for that. Before we get started, and I'm going to do the sponsor a bit quicker than Hamish did it this morning. Let me just read out the script that I have got. I say that, and then I don't have the script in front of me. Okay, so we're thrilled to have Weissman, who sponsored this video, as well as MPH Group, a global leader in the boiler industry known for their top-notch gym and engineering, sponsor our podcast. And what's more exciting, they've teamed up with Scotland's very own award-winning installation team, MPH Boilers, making this a perfect match right here in Scotland. Weissman's boilers are engineered to deliver not just warmth, but unparalleled efficiency and reliability. We're talking about cutting-edge technology that's designed to save you on energy bills and reduce emissions. And with MPH Boilers, you know you're getting service from the best in the business, a local team that's committed to excellence and customer satisfaction. As part of this incredible partnership, when you choose a Weissman boiler installed by MPH Boilers, you'll also get a free internet controller, making it a breeze to manage your heating anytime, anywhere. Plus, they're offering the first year service free. It's all about giving you peace of mind and making sure you're looked after. So, if your boiler is showing its age or you're considering an upgrade, this is your chance to get world-class engineering with local expert service. Weissman and MPH Boilers, it's a match made in Scotland. Make sure to check them out and take the first step towards a warmer, more efficient home. All of their links are in the description, and we've got a very special treat to show you that has been on the Celtic Way social medias this morning. So a couple of people have sent in the offer, the Kyogo offer that we've been sharing thus far, or for the last month on the website. 6 months of access for £1 plus a free Kyogo Furuhashi print from renowned football artist made by Frankie at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Press conferences are there, as well as my piece from earlier on discussing Daisen Maeda and how important he is statistically to the team. And that very special thing that I was going to show you all was just this. If I share this to the screen, this is what you get when you subscribe to the Celtic Way website. This is the print that you will receive from Made by Frankie. The offer is still on. Please pledge £1, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, and you will gain access to this great A3 print. I've had a few people in my messages this morning and afternoon tell me how good the print is, that they're surprised at how big the print is as well. Tony, is there anything that you'd like to say or add with regard to this great offer that we're doing?
I just think it's pretty humbling to read what people's thoughts on it, and it delights us as well because we care about everybody. We care about our subscribers, old and new, and just to read those messages this morning, people saying they're genuinely surprised about it, the size of it and the quality of it. Then it gladdens the old heart, doesn't it, Ryan? So we try and we do our best to give you what you want. So we thank you for that, and it's lovely to wake up to private DMs just saying just received this poster, and they're really delighted with it. And I just say thank you to everybody who's subscribed and taken up the offer. You can still take it up, as Ryan says, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. We're trying to grow and expand all the time, but thanks to everybody. And I'm sure there'll be more offers in the future. Won't there, Ryan?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We've got some things in the pipeline. We spoke about before we did the Made by Frankie deal. We spoke about the fact that there were deals in the pipeline. Please stay tuned for more deals that are coming through the pipeline very, very soon. Can't talk too much about them, but make it worth your while for sure. Let's go and talk about the press conferences that happened today. It was a German winger, Nicholas Kuhn, that faced the media. First of all, with Brendan Rodgers too, but we'll talk about Nicholas Kuhn first. I'm just going to go into some of his quotes that he was talking about. So on the website now, Nicholas Kuhn was talking about how he doesn't need to hold back any more power due to his he had early struggles in breaking into the Celtic team. A lot of that was down to the 9 kilos that he lost before he joined the club, because he couldn't eat due to his wisdom teeth procedure getting done. he looks to be back to his best, or the best version of himself that we've seen at Celtic thus far. What did you make of his press conference today? I thought, some of his answers were quite sharp, quite witty, but he's definitely a character, isn't he?
He was very measured, wasn't he? I think he was very, chose his words carefully, didn't want to overstep the mark or say anything that could be construed or put up in dressing rooms and all of that kind of stuff as fuel for opposition. So he just kept saying, our focus is on the Dundee game, which I quite like. It was just kind of very much a business as usual. He was asked about last week and how he liked Hampden, scored at Hampden. It was nice, he said, kind of very, very casually understated. It was good to get through the way they did. But now we can park that. It's at the 25th of May. Everybody knows that. And he was just like Dundee. And I thought he handled it well enough, Ryan. I mean, he didn't give too much away, did he? Let's put it this way. I think he'd be a great poker player.
Yeah, I was going to say he's been listening to a bit of Lady Gaga with his poker face that he was shown in the press conference this afternoon. Measured in his approach. I think a bit like Greg Taylor. I wonder if he's been hanging about with Greg Taylor, because he's quite measured in his answers as well. Sometimes gives a bit back to the press whenever he's addressing them. If he has a bit of Ange about him, Greg Taylor, sometimes.
That's
the only time that I'll compare the two, but I like the bit of dig that he gives back, because journalists are well within the rights to ask the questions that they want to ask, but the player also has the right to answer in any way he sees fit. And I like having that. They are media trained, but showing that bit of bite, that bit of dagger as well. And it gives personality. And I think that Nicholas Kuhn showed that. One of his answers in particular, when he was asked about if he keeps up to date. I actually think it was Tino from the Celtic Exchange that was asking that question, who's a guest on the podcast pretty frequently. Shout out to him for getting to the press conference this afternoon. But he was talking about, do the players watch the games? And he said, of course we watch the games, we watch the results, but we only do what we can do. We only focus on ourselves. Yes, we watch the games. Yes, we take an interest, but we can't change these things. These results will happen. The only thing that they can change is the results on the park and influencing them. I like that answer from him, because I don't like when players pretend not to look at fixtures, because we know that they do. They have to. It's part of their job. They've got to be clued in as to what's happening with the rest of the league. But I like that he gave that sort of 50-50 answer where, yes, he does look at the scores. He did watch the Dundee v Rangers game. He's seen the scenes at full time probably as well, where the fans weren't too happy with the opposition team. But at the same time, he only focuses on himself and what he can do for the team.
You're only human, Ryan. You know what? We had a laugh with Charlie Mulgrew last week. Actually, he was talking about stuff like that. You read the papers and you read the results. Charlie Mulgrew was like, I never read the papers. I never bothered with stuff like that. And we were like, right, we'll just scrub that from the minutes of the tape. And Charlie Mulgrew went, I read all the papers. They were magnificent, So we were just having a laugh. And Charlie's great that way. He's got a cracking personality, and I like that about Cooney. Just admitting that you're human. Of course, they're going to know the Rangers result before they step out onto the park. But we've spoken about it all season. You control the controllables. You're not going to be able to escape it, are you? Really? Because somebody will tell you the result. So, and I think players do want to know these things. And if Rangers win, then Celtic will go out. But again, Celtic can only control. It doesn't really matter what Rangers do on Sunday before Celtic, because Celtic have got their own job to focus on. But, you try to tell me that before those guys leave the dressing room at Dens Park, they'll not know what's happened in Paisley. You can't escape it. And I think at this time of the season, you particularly can't escape it, and that's what Charlie Mulgrew was talking about. It's everywhere. It's in taxis, it's when you're walking down the street, it's in the press, it's in the media, it's in the TV, it's in the radio. So when it's as tight as this, everybody you come into contact with wants to talk about it. So Nicholas Kuhn will be experiencing that just now. But again, to take any kind of dubiety or whatever out of it, he's immersing himself in it. So I quite like that he said that too, Ryan. I thought, good enough answer. Why wouldn't he watch the Rangers game against Dundee? It's the rivals for the title. So when you pick up various things that you can add to your game the next time you play them, So I think that's only natural, isn't it? Some players do that. Their coping mechanism is to shut themselves off from it all, and that's fine, great. But I always kind of used to laugh at that stock answer. I don't read the papers. I don't listen to the media. I don't go on social media. Say, really? Come on.
Yeah, especially nowadays. I think a lot of players are into football as well.
Yeah.
Keep up to date. They'll be wanting to watch football whenever it's on the TV. Yes, there are some notable exceptions. I think Arsenal's right back, Ben White, just does not like football. Apart from playing it, it's his job. It's a pretty well paid job if that's the case. I actually read somewhere that he wanted to be a florist like his dad. So yeah, that's I suppose it's not a bad second option for him in terms of being a footballer when his main job he wanted to be a florist. But yeah, uh, is there anything else to touch upon with Kuhn? Because I know we've spoke about his funny answers and that, but I think the downside to that is maybe that the answers are quite short. I liked his nod to James Forrest. He had a big impact last Saturday, as did Kuhn. Kuhn scored on Saturday. He scored that rebounded or the blocked shot for Kyogo, rebounded straight to Kuhn, and he was there to put in the back of the net. A good finish under pressure. Yes, the goal was gaping, but at the same time, he took the chance when it came to him. But I like that nod to James Forrest. Yes, I think about 3/4 of the press conferences today were about James Forrest, given the questioning, and we'll get on to talking about that with Brendan Rodgers. But just as a bit of a aside, how it's been great to see that this week from James Forrest. He's been getting his flowers after a great performance against Aberdeen in the semi-final
Yeah.
of the Scottish Cup. I think a lot of people are beginning to realise just that you've got to enjoy him while he's here. He's been a great of the club, a legend of the club, and he put in another. He turned back the years on Saturday, and it's great to see. And Nicholas Kuhn was pointing that out as well. The fact that he's great in and around the dressing room, and he's great on the pitch too.
Did say after the game that any Celtic winger watching James Forrest, that was the kind of James Forrest signalling, this is how you be a Celtic winger. Yang, Kuhn, Palmer, this is what you do. This is what it takes. This is what is entailed and involved in being a winger, an attacker of repute for Celtic. James Forrest record speaks for itself. 22 winners medals, 11 league medals, 6 Scottish Cup, and 6 5 League Cups, isn't it? Well, certainly 22, isn't it? I believe so.
Basically, it's a lot of trophies, Tony, and it's a
it's a
number that
lot of
keeps on
trophies.
changing
Yeah,
every season. Thankfully for James Forrest, so you
correct.
can't get too used to the one number. Once he retires, he'll be able to sit on a number and sort of talk about that. Not that he's that type that would brag or anything. I don't think he's like that whatsoever. I've actually met him a couple of times, and he's a very down to earth person as well as a down to earth footballer. Unassuming, but a good person to speak to. I just like that comment from Thomas Gallagher that was talking. He was saying that Kuhn can now play and perform for 90 minutes. He was talking about holding back that power that he had. He's got
Yep.
power in his game. You can tell he's a good runner with the ball at his feet. He's a good dribbler. Maybe he couldn't do that for the 90 minutes. He can now, and that's a big difference. Business end of the
Yeah.
season, he can put it in for 90 minutes or 60 minutes and then come off and a sub can come on. But it's great that he's got that in his locker now.
Yeah, very much so. And I guess, another piece of real honesty there, Ryan, in telling you that he felt that he was holding back due to the fact that he had lost the weight and it was affecting his performance. So it's great that he can actually now think to himself, "Yep, I can last the 90 minutes now. I'm good to go for that. Watch me now." And can I guess he's saying, once I get a full pre-season under my belt next season, then you might see the better of him or the best of him. And if that's the case, then great. I can't wait to see that, because he's certainly come onto a game. Won't wax lyrical and go overboard about him, but he's certainly shown signs to me, Ryan, that once he gets a pre-season under his belt, he can cause damage.
Absolutely. Now, I think we should go on and speak about the main man that is Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers was in a great mood today. You could tell he was really enjoying his press conference. And I think we as journalists enjoy press conferences when Brendan Rodgers is like this. You always learn something when you hear from him. I thought he was absolutely riveting to listen to today. We did split up the Q&A, so there are points that will be more familiar with than others in terms of the bits that we actually wrote up, because we delegated it between the team of us. So Yeah, he was talking about a number of things, but I think the main thing to sort of discuss is the fact that those rumours were true with Dyson Maeda, and he will be back before we know it. It's to play some part between now and the end of the
Yeah.
season. Won't be playing this weekend, but he'll have a job to do maybe in the coming weeks. Is it back in full training next week? He was saying that's a big boost for Celtic, especially defensively.
It's incredible. He mentioned the medical team, didn't he? The head of the medical team, Tom Williamson, was it? Is that
Mentioned
who
a
said?
lot of the backroom staff
Uh,
in this
yeah,
press conference. Not spoiler alert, a slight spoiler alert, but he does talk about his backroom staff quite a bit in this press conference.
and he mentioned. I mean, he says he can't believe that the healing power of Dizamida, and so when he's brilliant, he's just a machine, which is brilliant. But I really enjoyed the manager today. I've got to say that. He covered a lot of things, and again, he's got the business head on, hasn't he? And also he threw in the light-hearted moment with the kit man and the penalties. Didn't make a big deal of it, Ryan. Didn't feel the need to because it wasn't that serious. That could have been built into something that it wasn't. And I think what the manager said, know your place, kind of know your lane, that kind of thing. And and then he kind of equipped a couple other things about it, didn't he? So I love that. That shows a camaraderie there, and he's clearly spoken to the kitman about that as well, and they've laughed it off. You know what I mean? So, and I think Brendan Rodgers is just staring incredulously about the Eisenmeyer, just thinking, really, this guy's just a miracle, a miracle man. So a quick healer. Definition of it.
He made those points at the start of the season. It only took a couple of weeks for him. I know that he was talking about Dyson Maeda potentially playing through the middle. That was his best position. I remember, particularly after the Yokohama F Marinos game, that Brendan Rodgers wanted to play him through the middle, but I think he's realised just how good he is on the left hand side, especially when negating certain players, certain right backs for certain teams, and how good he is at doing that and keeping them quiet. Just on the Kitman point, I implore anybody that has not watched the press conference. There is a slight second where Brendan Rodgers realises what he's going to say, and his smile just goes up and up and up. It's like a half smile, half sort of grin. Absolutely brilliant. He's so measured in what he says, Brendan Rodgers,
Yeah,
and he knows exactly what he's going to say. I'm sure the kit man Stevie, his second name escapes me, but Stevie will take that in good jest. The way that he said it, you'll have
of
heard it, and he'll
course.
had a good laugh. It sounds as if they've brushed it under the carpet as well, which is absolutely brilliant to see. And
I've
it's back to
spoken to
business
him.
basically.
Yeah, I've spoken to him about that, and he'll probably have mentioned that he's going to bring that up. You know what I mean? And I dare say Stevie's said, no problem at all. Thanks for that clearing there. Don't want it to linger about us because it could have been something that was built up, but it is something and nothing basically. So, but yeah, I said all along, Ryan, and we've spoken about this many times. That elite level nature of Brendan Rodgers, some people dispute it, but this is when your elite level manager kicks in. He puts you at ease. He's coolness personified. He's a born winner, and that's transmitting to this group of players. Don't care what MD says, and on all the staff. He's just exuding confidence and calmness, and I thought he was that today, but measured as well. And telling, I love this quote. I'll read it out. This is a period where you have to get your trophy head on. You get your focus on what it takes to become a champion. The players here are well versed in that. They understand the mindset. They understand the psychological traits that are needed at this stage. That's him telling you. He was talking about the psychology of football being very important. That's him telling you. These guys are on the job. They're focused on the task at hand because I won't let them be complacent or think anything's done at this stage of the season. There is 5 to go in the league, 6 including the Scottish Cup final, but we'll deal with the 5 to steer them towards a league title, and we'll deal them one game at a time. We're going to Dundee. That's the focus. But this is when you do start thinking, right, what does it take to become a winner? Picturing yourself being a champion, because he wants them to do that. And that's how
Yep.
they have that mindset of champions. So I loved that today. Absolutely loved that quote. Thought it was brilliant.
See, any doubt that we both had that he wasn't hungry for the job, those doubts maybe in August, September, October time, that the hunger wasn't there, that this was. I heard the quip Brendan Light was getting used. This diet version of Brendan Rodgers. I think that's been evaporated now completely. It seems as if a guy that is so locked in, locked up, and ready, and he's loaded. He's ready to go.
Oh,
Absolutely ready
he's
to
loaded,
go.
all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's the highest paid Celtic manager of all time, so he definitely is loaded in that
But I know what
regard.
you meant.
Yeah, he's locked and loaded is basically what I was trying to say. He's ready. He's ready for action as Celtic manager, and you can tell. I think he's enjoying this. I think he's actually enjoying this title running. He likes being the sort of a controller of his own destiny. He knows his team have got they've got the league where they want it to be. If they can control it and they can get the wins required, then they will be champions and they will be double winners if they win in the Scottish Cup final. I just think he's thriving off of this at the moment, and you can see that in the press conferences. He is there doesn't seem to be any pressure on him whatsoever. I know there is, but he's not showing it, and I think he's living for it at the moment.
This flexi switch. This is when, as I say, the elite level managers come into their own and what they say. I've said before, he sat there at Ibrox and told everybody in that Ibrox press room that Celtic were a better football team than Rangers. He told them, this is the business end of the season. We're ready to turn up. He said that in the Ibrox press room. He's just warning everybody. You got away with one today because we're a better football team and should have won the match. But no real damage done. We'll take our point and we'll regroup and we'll get better in these last few games in the run-in. Kind of gauntlet laid down. Can you be better? What do Rangers do? They go and drop 4 points in the space of a week. So he knew what he was doing, and
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
somebody who, and didn't do it to spook anybody. Just reminding people who want to have a pop at Celtic that I'm a good manager and I've got good players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought some of his
And we're not going away. We're here and we'll see it through. That's
yeah.
his mindset. We're going to see this through.
I always think that he manages to channel the humour side of it and the serious element of his press conferences effortlessly. I think he's better at press conferences than Ange Postecoglou was. Now, Ange Postecoglou's funny in his own way with some of his retorts back to the media. But I think with Brendan Rodgers, you learn just that bit more. I know Ange Postecoglou had those sound bites and it was great. But in terms of an overall package as a press conference, I think it's more enjoyable listening to Brendan Rodgers, just my personal opinion anyway. But I just think he channels it well. He has the passionate side when he needs to have the passionate side, the funny side, but also the serious side too. Talking about the psychology, talking about external factors. I just thought he was a joy to listen to today, and he's a manager that is clearly having the time of his life at the moment. And it's good that's the case because it wasn't always like that earlier on in the season. I thought not that he was struggling, but I don't think the togetherness was really there at some points between the support and the manager. Now I think that there has been that galvanisation. The galvanisation has taken place, and now everybody's in the same boat from now until the end of the season.
I think there's been a reconnect. And see when the pressure's on, that's when guys like Brendan Rodgers outline why they're comfortable in their own skin. Everyone else can run about with their head on fire. He's just like, right, fine. It's not my approach. It's not what I do. We're talking about a hugely important thing today, psychology and football, getting into players' mindsets and all that. And, and you have to do that with a group of people. You could listen to Brendan Rodgers talk about things like that all day. He's the kind of manager that you would want to run through a brick wall for, as was Ange, as was Jock Stein, as was Martin O'Neill. But they all have different ways of expressing that, right? Because they're not the same managers. They're their own people in their own right and the way they see football. But you look at them, and today I think there was there would have been. I mean, there's been a reconnect with the Celtic supporters and Brendan Rodgers, but I think it'll be a bigger reconnect today. Just listening to him, and they're thinking. I came away from that today thinking he's got this, and if he's got this, those players have got this, and that's why I feel confident in the manager and players to deliver. So that's that's my thought.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up this comment. Daniel Peoples comes in and says, "If you ask me, you sound full of yourselves." I don't think that's the case. I think it's more confidence. I think the confidence breeds from the manager into the support and the people who follow the club, whether that be supporters or journalists as well. You can feel confident about it because of the fact that the manager is speaking confidently and he's not an aggressive tone or an arrogant tone or anything like that whatsoever. It's a confidence because he knows that his team's in the right place. You know, results can go against you. You know, bad performances can happen. But in terms of controlling the controllables, they're in a great place just now.
Yeah.
And yeah,
My,
it's definitely the place to be
well,
in, definitely the driving
back,
seat.
back over the net to Daniel Peoples. Explain that comment because we've been explaining the whole time what we think the manager's saying. So I'm asking you, Daniel, you explain that comment. How, if you ask me, you sound full of yourself. Who's the you that you're talking about? Me and Ryan? Is it Celtic supporters? Is it Brendan Rodgers? Is it the players? You're commenting on what the manager said. So nobody
That's all
is
we've
full
got.
of
That's all we've got to
themselves.
go for.
Yeah, and we're explaining and dissecting what the manager said. So I'm asking you to explain yourself with that statement that you've made and see if you can come back in and put a bit more meat on the bones of that one, Daniel, because it just seems to be a kind of isolated statement there.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to discuss from the press conference? I know we touched upon James Forrest. Brendan Rodgers was talking about. In fact, I'll go through a couple of the highlights that were in the press conference. So Brendan Rodgers said that James Forrest is one of the best wingers that he's ever worked with, in terms of taking the ball close to his feet, close to the byline. And he's worked with good wingers in the past. We all know that. You know, look at the wingers that he's worked with. Look at Scott Sinclair. Look at even Harvey Barnes in his last couple of seasons at Leicester. You know, there's Liverpool wingers as well. Raheem Sterling that he's worked with. So James Forrest to be in esteemed company like that shows you how well he's doing. Cal McGregor, his fitness is improving day upon day. That's what he was talking about. He was saying that he had that 60 minutes against Aberdeen. He'll be 8 days further now with his preparation. I think it pretty much points to the fact that Celtic are going to start him on Sunday against Dundee. I think if there was any doubt, then that's evaporated as well. But yeah, things are looking good. Is there anything that you want to point out with those points I've made?
No, listen, I just I felt comforted today by the manager, I have to say, and I think he knows who's going to play on Sunday. I think he's got his team in his head, and we'll be putting ours out tomorrow morning. Ryan, is it tomorrow afternoon?
Oh, I have seem to have lost your. Are you? Could you speak up for a minute, please, Tony? Because I can't hear you at the moment. I've changed from
All right,
one
okay.
speaker
Can
to
you
the
hear me
next.
at all
Let me
now?
see if I can just get this back on. Actually, 2 wee seconds. It's because my headphones have actually run out of charge. I'll see if it's going. See if you try and speak again.
Yep. Are
Right,
you
I can hear
still
you
there?
now.
Are you
I
with
can
us?
hear you
Yeah.
now. I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you from one side of my headphones. It's one of my headphones run out of charge, and the other one hasn't.
Ah,
So,
right. Okay.
um, all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
I thought it was good points made by Brendan Rodgers and those. You know, Cal McGregor being back to full fitness, or nearing enough to full fitness. I think they'll be prepping him for that Rangers game, prepping him for the Hearts game. 2 massive games for him, and the Rangers Cup final on the 25th of May. And then he was talking about James Forrest.
yes.
What a career he's had. It's been tremendous for him. All at the a one club man in Brendan Rodgers. Link saying that he's right up there with those players. It's some accolade, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he heaped praise on James Forrest, and I think nobody was more delighted in the impact that James Forrest made last week than Brendan Rodgers, because he knows he's got something still to give, and quite a lot to give. If you ask me, I've written a spread on Brendan Rodgers. I've written a piece which is going
It's
out
on the
tonight, I
website now.
believe. Yeah, is it
It's
on
on
the
the website
website now?
already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there you go. So we're that went out. So, and I've spoken about the psychology and James Forrest being mentioned and stuff. So you can have a read at that, guys, at your leisure, and you'll see my thoughts on that. But listen, you cannot underestimate the contribution that James Forrest made last week. It was outstanding, and I think Brendan Rodgers is just reflecting that as well, and saying for those of you who maybe written him off, he's got a big part to play, and hopefully guiding Celtic to 3 in a row and a League and Scottish Cup double. There's the piece in there. And Maestro 95 asking me if do I think he's starting on Sunday. I do think he'll start. So, and you'll see our team selections tomorrow afternoon. So keep your eye out for them. But
24 hours before the game, yep. 24 hours before the game, they will be going out. So 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, you'll be able to find them on the Celtic Way website, as well as that spread that Tony has done. That is available on the website as we speak right now. I need to do the socialing for that once we've went off the air. But this is what happens when it runs on ahead. You do these longer shows and then everything else falls by the wayside. So I'll need to do that as soon as we are finished. Tony, is there anything else you want to discuss before we finish up for today? I realise we've been going for 31 minutes.
No, I think we've covered it extensively, and I think we've been open and honest, unlike some, if you want to the broadcast, but that's neither here nor there. So don't mind them supporting another club and having their say, but having coming on and saying things like that, you got to back that up and explain yourself with it. So that's why I kind of challenged it, because I couldn't see what the problem with what we were dissecting, what we were saying was all about. But hey, it is what it is. I'm happy with my manager, Ryan, and those players, and we move on to Sunday. Dundee, we will both be there at attendance, and hopefully Celtic can bring the 3 points home, and it's all about just winning.
That's it. Just one at all costs from now until the end of the season. 5 wins and a draw, but go for the 6 wins. I think that has to be the target for Celtic. Brendan Rodgers and his players, obviously. Before we finish up, guys, I'll just show you this offer that we've got once again. This is the print that you get if you subscribe to the Celtic Way website at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. An A3 print Kyogo Furuhashi made by Frankie. It's a great condition. I've had loads of people messaging me already today saying how good it is. Here is the offer: 6 months of access for £1. Free Kyogo Furuhashi print, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Get involved. That offer is still running. That is the print that you'll get. Thank you to MPH Group and Weissman for sponsoring this video. Thank you, Tony, for joining me. It is 6 o'clock now.
Got one more thing to say. You might not have noticed it on the socials, but if you did, then fine. But I think everybody will join me in saying well done on your year anniversary, Ryan. And also, as well, he's too humble to say it, but he's now a permanent member of staff on the Celtic Way. And there is nobody that enjoys working alongside him than your old dad here. So just wanted to give you a wee round of applause and say, well done, fella. I can't wait to work with you for as long as possible. But yeah, everybody, young man, just a year in the job, and then today he's been told he's a permanent member of the Celtic Way staff. So can't say fairer than that, Ryan, can you? That's a wonderful weekend. The treble is Celtic beating Dundee, and that's a Carlsberg weekend for you, young man, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not made it public yet about the second part of that,
you have
but
now.
I do. Yeah, that is pretty true from you, Tony. Yeah, I couldn't think of anybody better to announce it than Tony. Yeah, I'll be here for the foreseeable is basically what we're trying to say. So yeah, thank you very much, Tony. Really do appreciate it. I appreciate all your help and everything that we do together. These press conference days, they're made easier when you've got 2 people working on them. Got the spreads on there as well. That's on the website. Just check that out on the Celtic. It's first on the homepage, so it should just be at the top.
My life's made easier, ladies and gentlemen, with this young man around. You better believe it. So there you go. But yeah, someone's saying 420 somewhere saying I've just stole your thunder, Ryan. If I did, I didn't mean to do that, but I just thought it was worth mentioning because I know you're too humble to mention it yourself. All right.
Perfect. I don't mind at all, and I do appreciate it. You might as well break the seal like that and do that. Yeah. Right. Thank you to everybody that's joined us. We'll be back on Sunday afternoon, round about quarter to two. I think we'll try and aim to go for 10 to 2, round about that time, about 5 or so minutes after the team for Dens Park drops. Until then, this has been the Celtic Way. We really do appreciate you coming on, and we will see you all on Sunday. Have a good weekend, guys.